All right. Okay, going live. Okay, make sure it starts. All right. Thank you for joining me. So right now we're looking at the North Atlantic Oscillation. We're about -1 right now. However, as the PNA is forecast to go very positive into the +2 or 3 range around here, the North Atlantic Oscillation is forecast to go down to -2. I had not seen the NAO this negative in a long time, not especially this time of year. Back in 2012, this is what allowed Sandy to come up the coast and then make a left-hand turn. And right now we're tracking Tropical Storm Philippe, which was initially forecast to go out to sea, but with the NAO going negative, you're having big blocking pattern over Greenland and Labrador. This is going to force Philippe and its remnants to head right into Quebec. This is the low pressure center that's associated with Philippe's remnants. And you could even see lake effect precipitation here. Right here, you're seeing lake effect precip coming off Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, and off of Lake Michigan and Lake Superior and Lake Huron. I mean, look at all this. And right in here, this is where we could be talking about several feet of snow for southern Ontario, south central Ontario, and southwestern Quebec. We could be talking about several feet of snow. I mean, look at that. Look at that, guys. That is 27 inch. That's 2 feet of snow, guys. This could be a major. This could be a major event. Well, New York State isn't going to get anything from this. New York State is going to stay primarily wet. However, if this upper level low, if this storm decides to go a little further south, we could end up getting this as well. Because keep in mind that the core of the cold air will go wherever this low pressure center goes. And looking at the models, it is going to be clear that there's going to be cold air infiltrating the northeast, bringing lots of cold. I mean, look at this. Look at these temperatures. I haven't seen temperatures this cold in a very long time. 14 degrees in the Adirondacks. That's cold, guys. That is cold. And this is only, keep in mind, this is just the beginning. This is just the middle of October. But you can see all this ridging on the west coast. Heat and ridging. I mean, look at this. This is a true positive PNA, or Pacific North American pattern. Very positive. In fact, I'm going to go right now and look at the PNA.
Have you heard of the eclipse that's coming soon?
The what?
It's called the annular eclipse.
Yes, in 2024. I already know about it. I'm going to be...
You mean on October 14, 2023.
Yep, that's the one. Look at the PNA, guys. +2. Look at that. Right now, we're in a negative right now. Right now, the PNA is negative, the NAO is negative. Normally, it's quite reverse. Normally, when the PNA is negative, the NAO is positive. Vice versa, the AO would be positive too. So looking at the Arctic Oscillation, it's forecast to be neutral, but then dip negative and then go positive. Normally, when you have a positive PNA, especially a particularly positive PNA, you would normally get a very sharp decrease in the ridge. You would get a sharp increase and a sharp decrease. But you can see how it's very positive, how all this Arctic air is locked up, even though you're having a negative NAO, a negative Arctic Oscillation. The reason for this is because of El Nino. El Nino is forcing the jet stream, this jet stream, to go further north. But still, having the 5400 line, having the 5400 height line being over New York City is unusual for early October, even late October. This is more typical of a mid-November setup. But still, having the jet stream this far north is very unusual. Normally, when it's like this, you would see a very deep trough in the United States. But keep in mind that El Nino is having an impact on that. Even though it's not a very strong El Nino, you're still having an El Nino. But this Very low heights are already starting to develop. As we head into towards November, the negative NAO, if it persists, will cause the jet stream to go lower and lower, especially over the Northeast. We could get major storms here in the Northeast already. Look at this. Look how we're getting Philippe heading right into New York, and then once again, look at all this rain coming in. You can see this low pressure system. This is indicative of a negative North Atlantic oscillation. Again, more weather. So already Clipper-like systems already getting already Clipper systems coming down. All right, someone's calling me. Okay, Johnny, I gotta go. Someone's calling me. Okay. Gotta mute my microphone. Okay, so I'm gonna end the stream in about 30 minutes because I gotta call somebody. So I gotta call a friend of mine. So yeah, we are definitely dealing with a active setup. I have to say, but what is very concerning is right in here, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, no rain. I mean, they're basically dealing with a drought, and it's just going to get worse because you're dealing with a negative NAO and you're not dealing with an active jet stream coming into the middle of the country. You're dealing with this basically mega ridge. Normally with El Ninos, you would get an active subtropical jet into California. However, that usually sets up in the winter, not now. So let's look at the United States. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Texas had severe weather the other day, but that's probably it. They're not going to get any more rain, honestly. So let's look at the forecast for precip. Basically, no more rain. So let's look at the drought monitor. So looking at your drought monitor right now for parts of Texas, severe and exceptional drought. So this is really bad. California, look at California, completely out of drought, basically, with the exception of far eastern California and the far northern regions of California. But you have areas like Washington and Oregon in some extreme drought. So definitely a little unusual. But that should change because of the positive PNA. You should be getting a lot of moisture coming in. Normally with a positive PNA, you do get a lot of moisture coming in. So yes, a lot of moisture. So again, let's look at the models for the next 15 days. Let's look at the next 15 days. And so much needed rain should be coming in Monday into Tuesday. But that's about it. So not seeing much improvement there. And likely that will not change until the PNA becomes negative or becomes closer to neutral. And once winter rolls around, if this continues, I'm concerned that California could go right back into drought conditions because even though we're dealing with an El Nino, this is not a particularly strong El Nino. This is nothing like what we had in 2015, 2016. This is a more moderate El Nino. And while moderate El Ninos do also bring heavy rain to California, and we did have a lot of mudslides in 2002, 2003, it's different this time because what we're dealing with now is basically a hybrid situation in the Pacific Ocean in terms of temperatures. We're dealing with a hybrid situation. So let's look at sea surface temperature anomalies. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So you're having a hybrid situation in the Pacific. So yes, you're having an El Nino, but already some cool water starting to develop right off the coast of Ecuador, right here. And you're dealing with, at the very warmest, some 3 to 4 degrees Celsius waters, and one little patch of 4 to 5 degrees Celsius waters. But most of your water temperatures are fluctuating between 2 and 3 degrees Celsius. So 2 to 3. I would say in this area, some 2 to 3 and a little bit of 3 to 4 right in here. But most of your ENSO regions is between 1 and 2. There, a little bit of 2 to 3 degrees Celsius there. But really, you're dealing with a moderate, I would say weak to moderate El Nino. Moderate at the moment. This is nothing like what we saw in 2015, 2016. And with warm waters here in Labrador, and even this area is starting to warm up again, having very warm waters here. This could mean something significant for this winter. So let's go to Coral Reef Watch right now. Let's look at, for the last 90 days, let's look at 30-day animations right now at global trend. So we're in October right now. So let's look right here. So still pretty warm. So early September it was very warm. Briefly got cooler, and then got warmer again. And then, yeah, it kind of fluctuated between very warm and not so warm. But this is the area you need to watch, right in this area. Once this area is warmer than normal, not talking about here, talking about right in here. Warmer than normal means big snowstorms. You'll have the positive PNA. Right now we are having a positive PNA, a very positive PNA in fact. Normally, positive PNA would mean cooler waters here, warmer waters here, just like that, but with this area being cooler. And once this water, some of the warmer waters are starting to finally dissipate, but they're still really warm. This is a very unusual setup that we are seeing in the Pacific. The Pacific Ocean, besides El Nino, is sending very mixed signals. The Atlantic is clearly dealing with something what is known as a warm PDO. So you're having, warm AMO, very warm Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation. So that is very, very strong warm AMO. All right, so you're dealing with a very, very warm. Hey, Johnny, I'm back. All right, so
I'm in the bathroom right now.
Oh, sorry. All right, I'll call you back. Call me when you're.
No. I can mute.
Okay, good. So you're dealing with a very warm phase of the AMO, and look at right off of Sumatra right here, Sumatra and Java, very cold waters. I mean, that is cold. I have never seen waters that cold there. I mean, that's even 4 to 5 degrees below normal. That is some very insane upwelling. Likely reason for this is very strong winds blowing off of Sumatra. This is upwelling. This will likely lead to drought conditions for Indonesia. See how cold the waters are here? That's definitely going to subdue any rain. Any rain that wants to form will not form. You're going to have major drought conditions here. So Sumatra, parts of Java may have well below average precipitation and likely wildfires. So there might be a lot of wildfires in here. I don't know how that happened, but that's shocking. I've never seen anything like that before. I think that's the normal El Nino setup there, but that's what normally happens. You get, you get upwelling here and subsidence here in cooler waters. But this is, I've never seen anything like this before. During La Niñas, you'd normally get very warm waters in here. Like, there's warm waters off of Australia right now. Again, not very El Nino like here, But this is very El Nino-like. Again, the warmer waters are starting to disintegrate. See right here how you had some patches of 2 to 3 degree waters, or even a little bit of 3 to 4, and then that kind of just dissipated back down to 1 to 2. So the ENSO is starting to weaken. In fact, some of your warmest waters are actually in the Gulf of Mexico. Some of your warmest waters are actually in the Gulf of Mexico and on the Atlantic side, which means you're going to have a lot of Gulf moisture going into the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. So if once coastal storms form this winter, they could be massive. We may have major blockbuster storms this winter, especially for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. 40 to 60 inches for New York City, 30 to 50 for Philly, 30 to 50 for Baltimore, 30 to 50 for Washington. I mean, I'm just gonna say, Carolinas up to the Mid-Atlantic, very stormy and cold. A lot of storms, a lot of ice, especially if you're looking down towards the Carolinas. North South Carolina may have a lot of ice storms, a lot of snowstorms. We may have some freak weather events this winter, because while we're dealing with this hybrid setup, we're also dealing with anthropogenic forcing, warming, especially up in the Arctic. Very, very, very warm waters. I mean, that's greater than 5 degrees Celsius above normal. So your anomalous water temperatures here were at least, 5, multiply that by 1.8. That's going to be at least 8 to 9 degrees Celsius above normal. And you're having this very significant upwelling here. So if you want to look at Siberian, let's look at Siberian snow extent. Rutgers, yeah. So let's look at that. There's a little bit of below average here. That's not good. You want above average. Like you want all of this. You want all of this covered in. It's not well below normal, but it's still like kind of like Again, below here, above here. Let's look at the chart for the last several years. Last year was very, very like, oh yeah, that's good, but this year not so good. So 2020, 19. Let's go back to one of the best years I remember was 2014, 2015. That was the year I remember the best. So if this can become a positive, if this could become positive, if the positive anomalous can set up, because right now we're kind of like average. We're not that much below, not that much above. Oh, 2008. This was actually an El Nino winter. We actually got a good deal of snow in the Mid-Atlantic that year, Mid-Atlantic Northeast, despite well below average Siberian snow extent. 9 and 10. Hey Johnny, I know. So again, 2010. The best winter I remember, the worst winter I remember was 2011, 2012. But then a good winter was 2012, 2013. We had a foot of snow a week after Sandy. Very negative NAO. Then you had 13, 14, and 14, 15. Very, very, very snowy winter in New York City. Again, look what happened here. You had, like, we were getting crazy snows while temperatures were in the teens outside, near the single digits. It was like 12 degrees with heavy snow coming down. I only remember seeing this once, and that's when I was a child.
When you were a child?
Okay, right here. And so, the year before, 2013, and look at this. But keep in mind, 15 and 16, you had El Nino, very powerful El Nino. So even though you were kind of above,
dude, your lights are going up.
my lights?
Likes.
Oh.
Like YouTube likes.
Oh, okay.
I think they're going up. I'm not sure.
Right here, you see that snow right here? See that blue dot there? That's the snowstorm. That's from that Snowtober we had. You see that Halloween snowstorm we had?
Yeah.
I didn't really get any snow from that, unfortunately, and it was only like barely an inch in Boston. But New York City actually got quite a bit of snow. That like caused some problems. And 2012 was like one of the worst winters I remember. And then you could actually see the negative anomaly just spread into the Northeast. I mean, look at that. Look at that negative anomaly as we head into the winter. Just, yeah, that winter just sucked. It was a horrible winter.
How was it horrible?
Barely got any snow.
Hey, guess what? That's same for us too. We can't even get snow.
Ugh, I hate those freaking ads.
Why do I keep hearing? I keep hearing doo-doo-doo.
Ads, Johnny, ads, pop-ups.
Ads?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the worst winter I remember. Year later, it was complete opposite. It was a lot of
Andy,
yeah.
check your likes on your stream.
All right. Damn. 13 likes? Johnny, did you do what I think you did?
Maybe.
Thank you. All right, so let's look now at what is going to happen this winter. This is what I'm thinking. This is just my thoughts. My thoughts is, based on what I'm seeing right now, this holds true. If this warm anomaly continues, if this warm water, if this area of the Atlantic continues to stay warm, we will have some major blocking this winter, which can mean some major snowstorms for the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Looking at northern New England, it's going to be below average with above average temperatures, similar to what happened in the winter of 2009-2010. So, yeah, this could be a very tricky forecast. Well, this looks promising. If this anomaly goes away, you're going to lose your blocking and you're not going to really have any cold and snow. If you want cold and snow, you need this to stay warm. You need this anomaly to continue. And as of now, it doesn't look like it's going to go away because some of this water is very deep rooted. There's a lot of warm water that's deep rooted in here. This warm water goes down pretty far down into the surface or under the water. All right, so
What's that noise? Ads?
damn pop-ups. I don't have any antivirus, Johnny. I'm broke, so. And unfortunately, I can't start like fundraising because I don't have enough subs or followers. Anyway, so right here, this looks very similar to what we had in the winter of 2012, 2013, and then 2010, 2011. But of course, you didn't have an El Nino in 2010, 2011, but you did have similar conditions in terms of water temperatures. So let's look at 2002. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. That was one of the snowiest winters I've ever seen. So let's look at September, end of September of 2022. So you had neutral conditions starting to develop into El Nino. Some warm waters here, but you do see that cooler than average temperatures here, but warm in here. As we got towards the winter, as it got towards November, this is why we had so much cold and snow. You started to develop El Nino conditions, weak to moderate El Nino, but also classic warm PDO. Classic. Ridging, troughing,
What's the blue?
colder than normal waters. Right here, you could look at the chart. It'll show you.
What's the yellow?
Son of a... Oh, my back just popped. All right. So you can see this area of very warm or warmer than average temperatures. This is what you would call a warm PDO. You had a kind of a bit of a warm AMO here. But then 2003, 2004 was another very warm winter, Sorry, not warm, but very snowy winter. Yeah. Again, another classic setup. You know, very warm waters here. 2003, 2004 was another very snowy winter. And then you had 2004, 2005, which was like even snowier. It was even crazier, basically. And look at what we had. Yep. Warm waters here. And then looking at the end of December, could explain why we had so much cold and snow. But then the winter of 2006, 2007, very little snow. We didn't see much. And why did that happen? End of 2006, you had a classic cold PDO, which supports troughing on the west coast, ridging on the east. And while you did have a little bit of warm water here, we did get some storms in New England. It started to delve into a La Nina. Because by March, by end of February, La Nina conditions started to develop, and you have very cold waters here. A little bit of a warm here. 2007, 2008 was actually snowier, from what I remember. And by then, full global, you had some warm waters here. But 2008, 2009, it was even snowier than 2007, 2008. Again, it's still cold PDO, but it's not as, it wasn't like what you saw here. So, again, 2009, 2010 was an El Nino year. Saw a lot of snow in New York City that winter. Well, Boston got diddly squat because you had a very negative NAO for most of that winter.
Andy?
Yeah?
That's a problem.
What?
That's a problem. Look at the chat.
Thanks.
Look at the drought. Look at the drought.
I know, Johnny. I already went on the drought monitor. Yeah, you're bad. Your area is really bad.
No.
But wait, that Californian hurricane, that there's gonna be a hurricane that's gonna hit Mexico that might bring you some much needed rain. It's remnants,
I hope so.
Yeah, it says it may get several inches of rain, so it might be good. Yeah, drought monitor. Oh my God, you're an exceptional.
I know.
Do you know what they said, that the Mississippi River is at record low right now?
I know. And there's saltwater intrusion.
In the Mississippi?
Yeah. Look it up. Saltwater intrusion.
That's actually good news for dead zones. Yeah, look at that, below average dead zone. The drought is actually Johnny, the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico, because there's less water from the Mississippi River. There's less eutrophication, which means you have less dead zones.
What's the point of the dead zone?
A dead zone is where you have no oxygen. The algae blooms get so crazy that it causes hypoxia from the algae over blooming and then dying, the decay consumes oxygen. But because of it says oxygen, less, that's why here you basically can't fish. There's nothing but shrimp and shellfish here.
Shellfish?
Yeah, like clams, and that's about, but no fish. But because there's less rain this year, you have less of those nutrients from farming coming from the Mississippi River, so you're having less eutrophication, which is actually good for fishing, like if you're out on the water. Hypoxia is when it's under 2. So the area of dead zones is like here. So it's actually better. The last couple years is actually really good. Still above normal, still above the goal, but it's getting better. You know, there's been a slight decrease. Like even though there's some years of big peaks, overall the eutrophication has been actually going down, which is good. The 5-year average is showing a decrease. We want that. That's probably because of better farming techniques and better management. Yeah, drought. Yeah, the drought is actually helping the Gulf of Mexico.
I really hate this drought. And get this, it was just last year I was saying, haha, I'm out of California. I don't deal with droughts. That backfired.
Yeah. It's
I'm serious.
I know, it's kind of like you like kind of jinxed yourself. You kind of feel like you jinxed yourself or no? Anyway, Johnny, let's look at the live stream again. Thank you all so much for joining me.
Oh boy. What is going on now?
I want to get rid of those messages, so right, I just reset the stream.
Move your mod.
Stop arguing. You know what? Who's Walter White?
That's Gabe.
Remove him?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. Why are they doing just freaking drama on my channel? Why are they doing this?
Because I shouted you out.
Ugh. Can you announce the truth? Can you tell them that you're not a homo? No, can you say it on my channel that you actually support the community? You want to do that or not?
I prefer not because they're gonna say, yeah, he is lying, he's lying. So I'm doing it.
Oh yeah, I gotta go. Thank you, Johnny. I'm